Hey y'all, hey, so I'm here with another Real Housewives of Beverly Hills review. So I am, what are we? We're season, I don't know, was it 13, I think, and episode 12. I'm off camera, sorry, just to let y'all know. But I really haven't reviewed this season all like that. Honestly, just like having like a newborn is just having a new baby and stuff like that is just takes a lot of work. So um I really haven't been able to watch it too much. And I'm gonna be honest, also I've been on Traders. Like Traders is a great show. Phaedra, I just want to say this before I go any further. Phaedra, you like lacked completely on Married to Medicine this season, but it's okay. You made up for it with your performance on Traders. That woman deserves a hand clap. Anyway, but I really, honestly, I don't know. Like the last little bit of this season wasn't really grabbing me. And after I kind of like watched back like quick reviews or skimmed through the show, it wasn't really much that I missed. So let's get to it, right? So I didn't really talk too much about how everybody looked. I don't know, like Sutton, she looked alright. You want to know what I will say about Sutton though? Sutton's outfit was probably the best that she looked in quite some time. I normally hate what Sutton has on, so just because I even liked it, she gets a hand clap. Garcelle, I hated her dress, but I loved the bob on her, like that bob in that color. I think she asked, because I follow her on Twitter. She was like, "Should I go red or it was like another color?" And everybody was like red looks amazing on black women. Like I think it's because of our undertones, but like a dark red, that's my favorite type of hairstyle to get, is a dark red. It just we look amazing. Anyway, Crystal, wasn't nearly here or there. And then I just put the second couch. No, I literally have second couch. No, because I didn't really like anybody's outfit over there. I don't know why Dorit was trying to be a racially ambiguous woman, or attempting to. That's what I got from everything she was doing. It was really confusing. And nobody else's outfit like jumped out to me, so that's how I know. No. So we're gonna like really breeze through this. I am going to do the best that I can because I have like these notes, but I didn't probably didn't take the best. Anyway, so let's start off. So, ooh. Let's start here. Production is shady AF, because before it started and everybody had sat down, they're gonna zoom into Kyle's finger, like because she didn't have her ring on. Also, I don't know if y'all saw, I saw this on TikTok the other day. I think like a trailer or a little clip dropped for the show that Mauricio has on Netflix that I never watched, but it's pretty much him sitting at the table with all his daughters and pretty much explaining that him and their mom are breaking up or whatever, right? So like somebody, I think the TikTok was like Mauricio gave us what we wanted in one scene that we've been asking for Kyle for the whole season. It's like, yeah, pretty much. So before they like technically start, Erica and Andy is kind of talking, and Erica was just kind of like, pretty much saying like it's nice to like not have to be in the hot seat anymore, because like, the last 2 to 3 reunions they've been on her ass, rightfully so. And so I think Andy was just like, Kyle's probably going to be a lot on you. And Erica was like, well, Erica's kind of shady because she pretty much was like, I'm glad that it's on Kyle because it's not on me this time. And but I do agree with what she said later. And I say this all the time. Everybody has their time in the spotlight, good or bad. So in both, honestly, somebody's gonna have like a great season. Every single person will have like a great season where they should sit first chair, and everybody will have a bad season where they're sitting first chair but not for a good reason, like they got some drama. So she's right, and it's Kyle's turn. So we start off with like Kyle and Dorit, and I guess the fact that they're not really seeing eye to eye, or they're not like really talking to each other the way that they were. And Dorit pretty much said that she feels like, and I watched Color Me Pink, and she talked about, I guess, the part that happened in the beginning, but I guess I must have missed that because I normally fast forward when they're talking to each other in the dressing rooms. I don't care about that. But during the reunion, she said that her and Kyle hadn't spoken for months. Like, they didn't speak to each other for months. And then Kyle hit her hit her up the day before, and she was like, it pretty much just felt like you was trying to kind of manipulate me in a way. Like, eventually she was like, do you think I'm an idiot? Like, you pretty much was contacting Dorit because you knew that the reunion was coming up and you knew that you was going to be in a hot seat. And so let me kind of smooth it over with Dorit, so then that's one less person that's pretty much coming at me. That's really pretty much what it was. And I think Dorit understood that. Like, let me, can I say this before I go any further? You know, matter of fact, no, there's a section for this. We'll get there. So, then we get on to Garcelle. Garcelle says, you know, that, you know, my sis been booked and busy. She doesn't have to try to get relevant. She is relevant. Okay. Remember that. Talking about, oh, you just trying to be relevant. She is. But they talked about all of the different jobs that she had, and, you know, about what happened with her and the boys and stuff. And she said the reason why she decided to do reality TV is because it would give her more of a reason to stay home, you know. So if I'm shooting a reality TV show, that means that I can be home way more than, like, you know, running here and there. And I know she get a nice check from Bravo, so that's nice. Then she talked about, they also showed the scene where she, you know, had found out that, I think maybe Jackson or something. I keep not wanting to say Jax because my dog's name is Jax, and he'll come in here running, and I don't got time for that. But how one of her sons told her at dinner, you know, that he knew about the affair. And you know, I think Andy asked, like, has their father ever sat them down and told them about that? And she said no, and he never will. I said, oh, absolutely not. She said, so I have to be the one to sit them down and have them conversations about, honestly, any and everything, because he don't do nothing when they go over there. He don't be talking to them about nothing, which makes sense about why her son will probably want to live over there. You know, like, he's a teenager. Teenagers don't be wanting to be bothered, to be quite honest. Although they want you to try. So then we get on to the whole Dorit and Garcelle thing, right? So they show the clip, you know. We know what happened at the daggone scene right after when they was in Vegas, and Garcelle pretty much said, you know, I don't trust you guys as far as, you know, talking about my kids. And then Dorit started to play victim and said, well, why? Well, why? That's not okay. And Garcelle already said, because you, Dorit, PK, Mauricio, and Kyle were laughing together about my son getting cursed out by Erica. So why would I feel comfortable with telling you anything, right? So it was pretty much just about that. And Garcelle had to explain to her yet again, because Dorit's like, well, my feelings were just hurt. My feelings were just really hurt, Garcelle. And I'm like, if we're friends, I don't want anybody to feel like that. Garcelle's like, see, this is the thing. You're making it about you. I literally just told you. I told you both times, then and now. You said, why do I feel that way? I explained that to you. And then you still turned around and tried to make it about you. You asked a question, that's fair. If you want to ask me why I don't feel comfortable, that's fine. But once I tell you, that's the end of that. It's no, oh, well, it's how I feel, period. So they start going back and forth about that. And Andy brings up the whole unconscious Karen thing. And Garcelle pretty much was like, I just don't think that Dorit is, like, she's just very unaware of the things that she says. And she just went off. She was like, you was robbed. Like, somebody broke into your house and robbed you while your kids were in the house. So you know what it feels like to be attacked. And what I did to you was not an attack. I said, go off, Garcelle. Please go off. Thank you. And so the point of the matter is, like, girl, I did not attack you. It was messed up for you to say that. And so she's like, well, I say attack to everybody. I say attack to everybody. You use that word, yes. But again, as they said, when it comes to black women in particular, you have to watch the way you use it. And if you're going to use it, it has to be applicable. So, for example, now I know a lot of people like to say, oh, girl, so just bring it up race. But no. This is exactly how that scene played out. I want everybody to remember this. Sutton and Dorit were going back and forth. Sutton was actually yelling at Dorit. Garcelle jumped in because she didn't like something that Dorit said. She did not yell. She just said, oh, that's not fair, something to that line, right? And then once that was said and a couple other words, maybe like less than 2 words was exchanged between Garcelle and Dorit, it's, why are you attacking me, Garcelle? Why are you attacking me? But, so let me get this right. So Sutton can sit there and yell at you at the top of her lungs. And not once did you say to her, stop attacking me, stop attacking me. But the minute that I say something in a cool, calm, collective voice, now I'm attacking you. That's where the issue comes in. That's why she said unconsciously. Because I really don't think that Dorit be aware of the stuff that come out her mouth. And I didn't even know about her putting up that bubble comment, because I don't pay attention to these girls for real like that. But it showed that after that episode came out, when Garcelle had said in an episode, she likes to be in her bubble. That Dorit posted a picture after that said, and I'm comfortable living in my bubble. That's how, and I'm doing stuff like y'all can see me. That's how unaware she is. And Andy was like, do you get how like that can look? Oh, well, I didn't mean it like that. Dorit, Lord bless her. Move on. Before we move on, let's touch on this point, right? I feel 2 ways, because I was really debating on myself if I was going to say this or not during this review, but I'm going to tell you how I feel. So, in the midst of Dorit and Garcelle talking, right, Anne-Marie jumps in and says, well, you know, at the one party that they had where Sutton and Anne-Marie was going back and forth or whatever, right, about what she said about her esophagus or some stupid shit like that or whatever, right, that Sutton was like, well, you're attacking me, you're attacking me, you're attacking me. And Anne-Marie was like, and you didn't at that point stop and say, like, no, that's a black woman, you can't say that. You just let her say it. And so you let Sutton get away with things. Okay, this is the thing about that. I feel a couple ways about this. Number one, I can kind of see what Anne-Marie is saying. However, if you actually look at the footage, you were actually yelling at her. Like, you were yelling at her. It's not, I think what people are not understanding is it's not that Garcelle is saying that. It's not that Garcelle is saying that Dorit can't say that she's attacking her, but you have to use it when it's applicable. You can't only do it when it's just me. If somebody smacked you, right? And then all I did was shake, and all I did was like tap you on your forehead. You can't say, oh my gosh, you completely disrespected me, but then let the other person, but not say the same thing to the other person. It doesn't work that way. So I kind of get what Anne-Marie was saying, but you were actually yelling at her. So she could feel attacked. Garcelle was never yelling at Dorit, but Sutton was. So that's kind of how that plays in. This is a separate point from what Anne-Marie said, but I think what she was trying to say is that Garcelle allows Sutton to get away with certain things that she doesn't give the other ladies allowance for. And I would have to agree. Now, maybe not on this particular subject as far as race, but in general, yes. I think it's because they're friends that she allows Sutton to get away with certain things that if it was somebody else, she would call them out for. But again, that just could be because they're friends. What else was I going to say about that? But most importantly, that's what I was going to say. Most importantly, with all of that being said, my main problem with what Anne-Marie did, by you doing that, like, okay, let's just say, right, that Garcelle didn't stick up for you, although she should have. By you saying that, you're pretty much trying to negate an actual true point, though. Because let's just say she didn't stand up for you, right? And she should have. that still doesn't change the fact that Dorit shouldn't have said what she said. So what you're doing is literally diminishing her point. And as a black woman, when I have a valid concern against a white woman or a white person in general trying to come for me, or not even come for me, but handle me in not a correct way, it is not now your time as a black person to jump up and be like, well, hold on. Because nobody asked you, to be quite honest. Nobody asked your opinion. And because you are black, now people like Dorit and everybody else, and like you're that person. When racist white people say, I have black friends, you're the black friend that they're talking about. That's not the time. Now, again, it would be different if Garcelle was actually wrong, but even if she was supposed to stand up for you, that does not mean that Dorit was right. So, pretty much you diminished her point, not to people who got regular brains and eyes and ears, but you pretty much tried to diminish her point when she was trying to stick up for herself as a black woman. That's why I told y'all when I first found out that this woman was going to be added to this cast, I told y'all I don't like her strictly off of who she's married to, because I do not like Marcellus Wiley at all. He has outrageous takes. He used to do a daggone show with, what is that man's name? That Stephen A. Smith Jason Whitlock. They used to be on a show together that I used to, I would turn past it so fast. But sometimes I would stop to see, because I think Emmanuel, Acho was on that show. So sometimes I would stick to see what they had to say. But it was normally nonsense. So that doesn't surprise me. So at the end of that part, at least, Dorit was just like, so pretty much like, do you want to be my friend? And she said, like, sometimes. And she said, do you want to move forward? And she said, I don't know just yet, which I think was the realistic thing for Garcelle to say. So then we move on to Anne-Marie. And there was like a big deal, I remember like a couple weeks ago, because the episode came out where Marcellus, or her husband, called her at 8.5. And people like felt some type of way about it. Well, if she's at 8.5... you're a 0.5. You're trash. I cannot stand that woman's husband. He is so trash. That's why it's not surprising. Anyway, so they first talk about how she lost her mom. Condolences, okay? In my notes I have here, in my opinion, like after they really rolled her tape and I thought about it, it just felt like, okay, there's always a couple of different ways that a new housewife comes into a franchise. It's like either A, they're completely quiet, kind of like Crystal, and don't say shit and don't bring anything. Or B, like they come in and it's like they're acting kind of to a degree. Then you have people who purposefully come in to play the villain. And then you have people who come in and try to be a pot stirrer. Like she's that person. She came on the show looking for a moment. And this is the thing about the Housewives. Yes, it's contrived situations, but it comes from, what we like about it is that genuine emotions are coming from it. Even if the scenario set up maybe isn't the most like every single day thing, we like the emotions that are elicited from that. Because they're genuine, hopefully a lot of times, and they're real. You came in purposefully being messy. And I don't know if you picked Crystal as your target because you felt like she was the weakest, but it was really much so annoying. So like I said, we get into the Crystal thing, right? And so after they show their package, Anne-Marie is like, well, Crystal is great off camera, but like once the cameras come up, she's a completely different person. And Anne-Marie was like, when I first met Crystal, she was like, oh my gosh, hi, I'm a socialite and I'm a housewife. And she said, no, I did not say that. And I don't believe with a little bit of sense that that's how Crystal introduced herself. Not at all. Not at all. Call herself a socialite? Can't see that. No, I could see her saying, hey, I'm Crystal, you know, like maybe you might know me, I'm like one of the housewives or something like that. Like, but the way that you put it, you was putting 20 on 10. I don't care. You was putting 20 on 10. Crystal just pretty much started going off and was like, girl, be quiet. You're a proven liar at the end of the day. Like, nothing that you say is the truth. It's just not. So, then they get into this whole thing pretty much about, I don't know the names of all of it, Lord help me. But they pretty much were going back and forth over her profession. So apparently Crystal's sister or something like that is a anesthesiologist, right? So that's a doctor. But then you also have is it anesthetist? I don't know. But you have somebody else that's not a doctor, right? A regular anesthesiologist, whatever. Let's just call it that. And I guess Anne Marie is not the doctor, she's the regular one. And so Crystal was pretty much like, I'm just trying to be very clear of what you are, because what you told me was that you're a doctor. Now when you come around everybody else, you acted like you was a doctor the way you was talking about Sutton, but then you turn around and say, oh no, I'm not really a doctor, but I'm this. And so Anne Marie kept trying to make it seem like, oh, you're trying to downplay my profession. And I know that's how it could come off, but no, but there is a distinction and you need to be clear about that. The way I looked at it was like a lawyer versus a paralegal is the best way I can kind of think of it. Like, as a paralegal, yeah, there's certain things that you can do. Like, there's certain things that you can do as a paralegal, but you can't actually like practice law. Like, you can't actually like be a lawyer. There's things that cross, is what I'm saying. Like, so maybe the overall function of the job or the goal is the same, but there are levels. There are levels. That's why it takes like 2.5 years to be, maybe a year and some change to be a paralegal, versus like, you know, you have to go through, get your bachelor's, and then you have to go ahead and go through like 3.5 years of law school. So that's the best way that I kind of got it. I don't think she was trying to downplay your profession. I think she was just trying to say there's an actual difference, and you know that there's a difference, and you sat and you walked around here acting like you was a doctor when you're not. You played on people's lack of knowledge, as she would always say about them, to make it seem like you was something that you wasn't. That's where the issue comes in. And I'm like, go off, sis. Anne Marie, though, did apologize to Sutton, I guess, for the whole esophagus situation. So whatever. So then we go back and forth with Crystal and Anne Marie again. And I think at some point, Andy asked Crystal, was everything that she said at the table, that Anne Marie claimed that she said, is that true? And then they, you know, showed her the rolled back footage of her saying, you know, that they don't really, you know, they're not the brightest or something like that. And she said, I didn't say all of that. I might have, you know, said like a little offhand comment. I do think that Crystal said those things. Now, again, I think Anne Marie is putting 20 on 10, but I do think she said that. I don't think that she's really truly friends with anybody on the show other than, I think, Garcelle and Sutton now. So she really don't like those other girls. So like, I do believe that she said that. Like, I do. Crystal can't stand them girls at all. So then we get on to after. So y'all remember after Anne Marie like spilled out at the table what she was told by their by what she was told by Crystal about the other girls. When it cuts to confessional, you see Dorit. I'm not gonna hold you, bruh. The first time I watched that episode and Dorit went off like that, I chuckled so hard. It was so funny. It was so funny to me. I didn't even think about the child bride comment till later when I saw it online and people saying something about it. I just laughed. I thought that was hilarious at first, but I understand where Crystal was coming from. So Crystal pretty much was just like, you pretty much have to call me a child bride, and like that's offensive or whatever. And she was like, well, how would I know that? How would I know that? But I didn't think about that. And Garcelle said, see, that's what I'm talking about. Like, you got to step outside of your bubble just a little bit, like just a tad bit. Just step out your bubble and like read the room. Because really that's all it is. It's like read the room. And for you to read the room, you got to like step outside of your bubble and get into a room with people, different people. So Crystal cleared pretty much during that whole segment. It was great. She cleared. She said, you talking about me being a child bride, and you talking about, oh, at least y'all was in college. And she said, I was 24 years old when I got married. By the time I got married, I was already done with going to college. And that's why I have $100 million company right now. And Andy was like, from what? He said, the coconut water. Yes. He said, oh, congratulations. Now, somebody said, now, girl, how'd you get that $100 million company? But that's not what we're talking about right now. Crystal cleared. She cleared that whole section. Cleared. So that's kind of them. So then we finally move on to Kyle, right? So Kyle talks about one of the reasons that she made such a drastic change is because, of her best friend herself. And I was like, that makes a lot of sense. That will change somebody for real and just make them kind of like have a different perspective pretty much on how it is that they're living their life, what they're doing, how they're spending their time. So that makes sense to me. She pretty much starts to go back and forth with Dorit. And this is the part that I wanted to talk about right here, right? Okay. So Kyle says to Dorit, like, one of the reasons I'm upset with you is because I feel like you don't really have my back right like that, right? And she brought up how last year during the reunion, how I think when Cal and Kathy was going back and forth or whatever, Dorit had hopped in and said, Cal, I think she just wants you to take accountability. And then Cal was like, I don't say anything. Now, Cal says the reason that she felt some type of way is because she said, you have sat with me and you told me how you felt like Kathy was in the wrong. Like, and then Dorit was like, well, I have a relationship with Kathy independent of you. She said, that's not the point. The point is that you've talked to me about how you felt like she was wrong and I was right. And Dorit tried to say, oh, well, it was things from the past. She said, no, it was that situation too. You told me that you felt like she was wrong too. But then when we got here, it was something else. And she said, I feel like you, and we'll get to that last part. But before we get to that last part, because she pretty much said, like, I feel like you go along with whatever it is that the audience has to say. But she also said she pretty much alluded to the fact that Dorit acts like that when it comes to Kathy, similar to what she says about Sutton, is because y'all want to beat up Kathy's ass. And that's what I want to talk about just really quickly. I know that a lot of people like are team Kathy, and I'm truly like, Kathy's funny when she was on the Real Housewives of Beverly Hills, right? But she's not a good person. And I guess because she's so funny, it throws everybody else off. But like, I went off all last season about how wrong Kathy was. And I think what the problem is that, I think there's a couple things about how people look at Kathy. Number one, I think people's hate of Kyle so much sometimes doesn't help them see things from like a more subjective point of view. And I also think that these are people who have a certain relationship with maybe like their siblings or something like that. So maybe that's why they look at it like that for certain things. But the thing about it is, no disrespect, but I don't understand how everybody could hear that story of what happened last year with Kathy in Aspen and still cape for her. Let me remind you really fast. They went to the club. They were playing maybe like some Michael Jackson or something like that. And the DJ turned it off. Kathy asked the DJ if he could play some music that she wanted. Or no, they was playing something. And then Kathy went to the thing and asked if they could, I think maybe put on some Michael Jackson or whatever. Put on some song. And the DJ said no. So then Kathy said that she would pay the DJ. The DJ said no. So then Kathy went and got the and got the owner and pretty much was like, well, I asked him to change the song and I be coming here all the time and da 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 da, and he didn't want to give me, he doesn't want to do it. And the owner said, I'm not changing, I'm not telling him to change the music, and you, maybe you can try that in Beverly Hills, but you can't try that here. And Kathy went off, and then that's when she snapped on Kyle, was like, oh, you should come, you need to leave with me. And Kyle was like, no, because what is happening? So y'all don't have a problem with an entitled white woman causing hell and trying to end everybody's night because somebody told her no. I'm not understanding how everybody heard that story last year and somehow Kyle is the one that's in the wrong for that. I'm lost. I'm not understanding. I'm not getting it. I know some people felt like when Renna was coming for her and Erica was coming for her, oh, that's my sister, you need to stick up for her. But again, y'all don't know their relationship. Watch Paris Hilton's documentary. Watch that, and I guarantee you a lot of the stuff that Kyle says that Kathy does won't be that hard to believe. And I absolutely believe, all of that to say, I believe for sure that all of those girls don't go against Kathy because, number one, she's a fan favorite, leaning to what Kyle said about Dorit doing stuff for the audience. And number two, Kathy actually has a lot of social capital. Not just there, in a lot of places. And a lot of the girls on that stage value that. Sutton does. She calls her. Now, if there's somebody who calls herself a socialite, Sutton does. That's why Kyle brought that up and said, it's just because you want to be up Kathy's ass. And that's facts. But Kathy is not a nice person. I don't get it. But we're going to move on to the last part, right? So, this is the best part of the episode. Let me tell you something. When Alexander Rogers popped his ass up on my screen, you couldn't tell me I didn't, like, me and him wasn't best friends since like we was 5. I screamed. Okay, so if you don't know what I'm talking about, at the very end, right? Kyle brings up a question that was asked at BravoCon. And they show a flashback to BravoCon. And it is no other than YouTube's own Alexander Rogers. And I remember when he did this because they did a pop roast on this. Shout out to Chris. Shout out to C Diggs one. And he asked the question, and the question is even better. Like, if y'all been watching, y'all know that the question is even better. He said, Kyle, why are you trying to make fetch happen with Teddy? Like, nobody sees it for her, so why do you keep trying to make her happen? And Kyle was so pissed. She was like, nobody's trying to make her happen for anybody. She's just a really good friend. So then when they cut back to the reunion, they're like, Kyle's like, yeah, and I just wish that, you really could have said something during that time. You didn't. And Dorit was like, I wasn't going to answer that vile, disgusting question. Okay, I just wanted that person to sit down. Why are y'all like, and like Alex said, because I watched him after the reunion aired, I went straight to his page. And like Alex said, why are y'all trying to make it seem like he said the worst thing in the world? He asked a valid question. Y'all know my page used to be hashtag get Teddy the fuck off my screen. And I was so happy because it worked. It worked. Teddy is so boring and annoying. The fans have been saying that forever. And a lot of the girls think that. And Alex said, to clarify, what he was saying is, why do you keep bringing Teddy around when you know that these girls don't like her? That's what his question was. But the point of the matter is, we don't like her either. And I do agree. Stop trying to make Teddy happen. I'm tired of turning on the Real Housewives of Beverly Hills and at least once a season I have to see her. I don't want to see her at all. She just oozes boredom. Like, as soon as Teddy hits the screen, I yawn. I fall asleep. It's like rain sounds to me, which is like very peaceful. And like I just take a nap. Shout out to Alexander Rogers. Go over to his page if you've never watched him before. He is hilarious. He does pop roast, like I said, with C Diggs 1. Funny. But yeah, but that was part 1, y'all. Y'all get in the comments and y'all tell me what y'all think. I think like that Kyle is just in a weird spot, I think, right now, just between her marriage and then her friend and everything like that. So I think she got a lot going on. Y'all think Dorit gonna come back next season? I don't know, man. I think Andy gonna give her one more try. I think Andy, because there is now a little bit of conflict between her and Garcelle, and her and Crystal. I think he'll bring her back, but I think this is gonna be her proving ground season. Like, either you gonna have to put up or shut up. But yeah, y'all get in the comments. Tell me what y'all think. Come on, bye bye.